Hi everyone, I'm reading Winds of Fear by Gliddy Brown Kabongo, presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bets. Chapter 1. There was no spine-chilling fear or dark premonition in the air to warn Olivia Stewart that the stranger partially hidden behind the tree would one day destroy her life. Yet, Olivia kept one eye focused on the average-height woman sporting oversized sunglasses, a scarf, and a newsboy cap, and the other on her 3 charges. As the kids exited the car, waved goodbye, and headed for the playground, the stranger snapped photos of them and quickly dropped the small camera into the left pocket of her heavy winter coat. Her eyes started left and then right to make sure no one had seen her. Olivia had, from her vantage point. With only seconds to decide on a course of action, Olivia's brain zeroed in on the most obvious question. Why would a random stranger lurk around school property during morning drop-off and take photos of the rambly kids? Drop-off rules were straightforward. You dropped off at the curb and kept it moving. Olivia was already agitated because she was cut off by another driver a couple blocks away from the school, a gray Honda Accord with an out-of-state license plate. Some state in the Midwest. She couldn't remember which because it sometimes got them confused. She only noticed the make and model because there was a huge decal of an animated rabbit and some cliché quote about believing in yourself on the rear window. Clutching the driver's side door handle of the Volvo SUV, Olivia watched the stranger walk toward the playground, both hands in her pockets and her head down. Olivia leapt out of the car, not caring about the rules, and hurried in the direction of the playground. As she got closer, she observed that the woman had positioned herself at an angle that allowed an unobstructed view of children running and playing. However, the stranger's attention was focused on Olivia's charges, Lucas, Blake, and Alexis. Her camera was out again, but she apparently spotted Olivia's approach and lowered it. Olivia slowed her pace, not wanting the woman to panic and disappear to avoid a confrontation. She stuck her hands into her jeans pockets and pasted a smile on her face. New to drop off? She asked, with forced casualness. Something like that. The stranger's expression was unreadable, carefully hidden behind the sunglasses. You're a photographer? Yeah. A lot of vague, cryptic answers, Olivia thought. The woman had long dark hair that cascaded past her shoulders. Her gray winter coat was buttoned all the way up, which Olivia found suspect. It was coming up on mid-March and unseasonably warm. A welcome 60 degrees Fahrenheit at 8:15 in the morning. Olivia tried again to drag some scrap of information from the woman, who kept switching her weight from one leg to the other. Well, I'm Olivia, she said without extending a hand. I watched the rambly kids, the ones you were taking pictures of. If you're a parent or caregiver, you can understand why I came over. I'm sure you have a good reason for snapping photos of them. Olivia detected a shift in the stranger's body language, one that said she didn't appreciate being interrogated. Excuse me, I have to go, she whispered. Without thinking, Olivia grabbed her by the arm. Why were you taking pictures of the rambly kids? Don't deny it. I saw you. Answer me, or I'll make a big stink about it. You can't take pictures of little kids on a playground at school. It's creepy and inappropriate. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know who these rambly kids are. Olivia placed her hands on her hips and glared at the woman. Really? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cause any trouble. I was just snapping some pics of my niece. It's her 10th birthday. Out of the corner of her eye, Olivia saw Alexis playing tag with her friend Emmy. Your niece? Olivia asked. Didn't look that way to me. Besides, why would you wait until your niece, Olivia held up air quotes, was at morning drop-off to take pictures of her? The woman dug for something in her coat pocket. This is my brother Henry, she said, handing a photo to Olivia. He's in hospice care. Cancer. Today is his daughter Kaylee's 10th birthday. I promised him I would document her day. Just wanted to give him some happiness in his final days. Olivia took the picture and studied the man staring back at her. He sported jeans and a t-shirt, dark hair, and sunglasses. He smiled for the camera and made the peace sign with long, thin fingers, his back against a tree stump in a park environment. A wave of guilt crashed into Olivia, and she wanted the ground to open up and swallow her whole. With shaking hands, she returned the photo to the stranger. I'm really sorry, she said, lowering her voice. I guess I jumped to conclusions. You can't be too careful these days, you know what I mean? The stranger simply nodded. Well, I'll let you get on with your day, Olivia hesitated. Sorry. I don't even know your name. Jane. Jane Witherby. Have a good day, Jane. Olivia did a visual scan of the area on her way out to see whether Jane had indeed vacated school premises. She saw no sign of her. Olivia shivered in spite of the brilliant sunshine baking the car's windshield. Chapter 2. 1 year later. Perfect day in the Rambley household. I should know, however, from bitter experience, that perfect days can't be trusted. My 10-year-old Lucas is working through one of 2 grilled cheese sandwiches at the kitchen table while I tap away on the keys of my laptop, typing notes from the research articles splayed out on the table. The twins, Blake and Alexis, a year younger than Lucas, blast into the kitchen and join him. They both eye the remaining sandwich on Lucas's plate. Blake smacks his lips. Can I have that sandwich? I'll split it with Alexis. No way, get your own. Alexis looks in my direction. Mom, Lucas is being selfish. He won't share after everything
I don't know that.
done for him. I shrug. I won't get in the middle of their quarrel. Then, without warning, Blake grabs the sandwich off the plate and runs out of the kitchen with a squealing Alexis on his heels. Lucas takes chase, screaming at them. Give it back, Blake, Lucas bellows from the family room. I'll arm wrestle you for it, Blake says. Mom, Lucas and Blake are fighting, Alexis yells. You said no hitting. I let out an exasperated breath, annoyed that my concentration has been broken. The notes need to be completed before dinner, and there are several articles I have yet to peruse. I push back from the table, stand up, and trapeze to the family room, while counting to 10, a brief exercise to summon my patience, which is not short supply these days. I fold my arms over my chest and give all 3 my sternest "you're all in trouble" stare. Lucas and Blake are on the floor with matching guilty looks plastered on their faces. Alexis sits on the sofa, twirling Mr. Snoopy, a stuffed bear that once belonged to Lucas, taking in the commotion. The scuffle has nothing to do with food. My kids never pass up an opportunity to get on each other's nerves. They could easily ask me to make them sandwiches of their own, but why do that when they can get a rise out of their older sibling instead? Before I can scold them, footsteps approach. Ty appears and assesses the scene. What's with all the yelling, he asks. Didn't I tell you 3 I needed a little quiet to get some work done? Blake and Lucas get off the floor and straighten up. Neither one of them says a word. Alexis remains silent. Well, is someone going to tell me what's going on? He demands. Lucas, near tears, says, Blake took my grilled cheese and ran off with it, and he wouldn't give it back. I think that's really mean. I wouldn't do that to him. He could have asked Mom to make him one. Ty turns his attention to the twins. Did the 2 of you gang up on your brother again? How many times have I told you it's not nice to do that? A remorseful Alexis replies, We are just having a little fun, Daddy. We didn't mean anything by it. Lucas is too sensitive. Lucas says, I'm not sensitive. And you 2 aren't funny. I'm going to get you both. Then we'll see how funny you think it is. I'm about to interject that we don't threaten each other in this family when the doorbell rings. I move to answer it, leaving Ty to deal with the kids. When I open the door, I jerk back briefly. A young couple stands before me with megawatt smiles that could light up Times Square on New Year's Eve. I recognize them from the neighborhood. We've waved on a few occasions, the way neighborhoods sometimes do, but I have never met them up close like this. The woman looks to be in her late 20s or early 30s with copper red hair styled in a French braid that runs down the left side of her head. Her enormous green eyes drown out her small round face, giving her features a cartoonish manifestation, an animated Disney princess. The man has an impressive physique that could only be achieved by endless hours spent in the gym. He boasts a strong jawline, and his ash-brown hair is parted on one side and brushed back to gleaming perfection. Not a stray strand in sight. His glasses give him a nerdy yet confident look. May I help you? The woman says. Sorry to show up out of the blue. We just moved in next door and wanted to stop by and introduce ourselves. I guess you could say we're on the our neighbors tour. I'm Jenna Payne, and this is my husband, Charlie. She gestures to him. I'm Abby Rambley. I extend a hand. After a long, awkward pause, I invite them in. I usher the guests into the kitchen. This visit is an unexpected interruption to my work, but I don't want to make them feel unwelcome. I grab the files and laptop off the kitchen table and place them on the kitchen island. Ty must have disappeared back into his home office because all three kids saunter in, appraising the visitors with curious stares. I introduce them to Jenna and Charlie. Very nice to meet you, Alexis, Jenna says. Do you go by Lexi? My daughter responds with a dramatic eye roll. I'm pretty sure she gets it from me. I should quit that habit. Just Alexis. It's more sophisticated than Lexi, she makes a face. Thank you for correcting me. I'll remember that. The boys introduce themselves to the couple with a firm handshake and eye contact, the way their father taught them. Blake first, then Lucas. When Jenna extends her hand to Lucas, her face brightens and her eyes lock in on him, as if some invisible force has taken her captive. She holds onto his hand as if she doesn't want to let go. I just met the woman, yet something about my son has her enthralled. Lucas slowly withdraws his hand from hers and says, It's nice to meet you. The spell is broken. It's time to get started on homework, I announced to the kids and hurried them out of the kitchen. Alexis, my procrastinator, lingers. Do you have kids? She asked the couple. Kids for her to play with. That's her litmus test to determine adult coolness, apart from her cousins Zoe and Gabrielle, who live almost an hour away, and her best friend from school. Alexis' circle of friends remains small. She's always on the hunt for new friends who will indulge her fondness for playing fashion runway. Her brothers refuse to participate and simply ignore her attempts at dispensing wardrobe advice. A peculiar stillness floats in the air, but Alexis stands her ground, waiting for an answer. Jenna finally gives a forced smile. No, I don't have kids, but I'm a children's book illustrator. That's almost as good as having kids, isn't it? I guess so. A disappointed Alexis waves her goodbye and takes off. I apologize for my daughter's rudeness, I say, grabbing 2 coffee mugs from the cabinet and placing them on the table. Alexis thinks she's grown and doesn't have a filter. I'm trying my best to teach her boundaries, especially when it comes to adults. Jenna waves a dismissive hand. No need to apologize. I think it's great that she speaks her mind. You're lucky to have such bright, wonderful kids. I thank her for the compliment, grab the recently brewed pot of coffee, and pour in each mug. Cream and sugar? No, just black is fine, Jenna says. Charlie, what about you? He's been awfully quiet since they sat down. Jenna appears to be the dominant half of the couple, although I've learned over the years, sometimes painfully, that appearances can be deceiving. Or it could be that Charlie isn't much of a talker. Either way, it's time to chat him up, see what he has to say. I'll take mine black also, he says. I sit across from my guest while they sip coffee and nibble on homemade scones. Before I can start my inquiries, Jenna says, These are the most delicious scones I've ever had in my life. Did you make them yourself? Thank you, yes. I know my way around a kitchen. I lob my first question at Charlie before Jenna has a chance to take over the conversation. So, Charlie, what brings you and Jenna to Lexington, Massachusetts? Where was home before? I keep my attention focused on Charlie. Engaging him might give me some insight into Jenna's odd reaction to Lucas. Colorado. I'm a software developer. I've built up my consulting business over the past few years, and many of my clients are on the East Coast. We figured it made sense to move, and Massachusetts won out because it's a tech hub. A lot of innovation happens here. You've come to the right place, I concur. There are a few tech companies right here in Lexington, as well as MIT Lincoln Labs. We're not far from the Route 128 high-tech corridor, and Cambridge is only a 20-minute drive down Route 2. If you don't encounter heavy traffic, this is a sweet spot that puts you at the center of all the action. It strikes me as a good place to raise a family, too, Jenna says. Great neighborhoods, prime location, great schools. Do your kids attend one of the local elementary schools, or do they go private? I only ask because Charlie and I want to start a family soon, and I would love to get advice from someone with actual experience, if you don't mind, she adds quickly. Lexington does have a great school system that ranks well both nationally and statewide. We didn't see a need to send our kids to private school. Fantastic, she says. I allow a lapse in conversation to envelop us. Jenna clears her throat and Charlie breaks off a piece of his scone. I sense there's more she wants to say, and I'm curious. Thank you.